All right, so we're live. Hey everyone, welcome to the Week 2 broadcast. I'm Credence Baker, and I have three amazing team leads here with me, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Really quick, I want to make sure that we are in fact live. Okay. And we are live because I can hear the playback somewhere. Hang on just a minute. Okay. All right, Allie, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Allie Van Dyne. I'm a campus math specialist in Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD. I'm at an elementary school and we're K through 5. Oh, and I graduate in August.
Yay! Yes, that's something to celebrate for sure. And Angela?
I'm Angela Kahn. I teach in Burleson ISD at the high school. I mainly teach English, AP Lang, and next year I get to be the testing coordinator and lead for the AP teachers. And I also graduate in August.
Big day coming up, right?
Right.
And Brenda, how about you?
Hi everybody, I'm Brenda Mesa and I'm the secondary math coordinator for Birdville ISD. I am not graduating in May, but I am finishing up my instructional design and technology hours. I'm in Tarleton's doctoral program in educational leadership.
Awesome.
And that dissertation's coming up soon, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, and I just want to welcome everybody. I can see on the back channel we have Raul and Sam and Dom and Tracy and Julie. Thank you guys for joining in. We're so glad to have you on this live broadcast. I want to tell you, we at the last second were able to use Google Hangouts on air to broadcast this. I had thought for a second that Google had taken the functionality to broadcast away, but they actually just moved it to YouTube. So it kind of changed up my routine a little bit. But so we were planning to use the Zoom tool to broadcast, but luckily we got to use this tool. I'm so thrilled that it actually worked. And I just want to check really quick and make sure everybody can hear us okay and see us okay. If so, would you just give us a yes in the back channel? And then we'll kind of get started and dive in. Hey, I'm sorry. Hey, Claire, I see you on there. It's good to hear from you, and Caitlin. Okay, so good deal. Glad to hear you guys can all hear us. There's a little bit of a lag, but we'll try to kind of work through that. And I'll monitor the back channel for questions that come in as we kind of start in the conversation. So lots of questions came in week 1. Week 1 was really intense. I know a lot of information to take in, but I'm so thrilled at the quality of these questions that came in. And the team leads here are ready to kind of jump in and share some of their great tools and tips and tricks with you. So the first kind of category of questions that I saw come in were, okay, this technology is all fun and good, but how can I use this in my English class or in my junior high math class? So what are some content specific examples of how I could use this technology? And so we kind of brainstormed a little bit before the broadcast on some different tools that we want to share with you. And let's jump into some of the math tools. Angela, do you want to, or I'm sorry, Allie, do you want to share some of those that you thought of for the math content area?
Sure, I'll share one. There's an app, or it's actually a web-based tool. It's called Go Formative. And from the teacher's end, like you put up a question and then on your device, you can see everybody's responses in real time, and then you can also give feedback as the kids are answering those questions. So it's almost like a parking lot if you use something like that in your classroom where kids put up a sticky note. Instead, you're taking that and putting it online. And it's a really awesome tool. It's called Go Formative.
Go Formative. Okay, and guys, all these tools, I'll compile the list and the links for you and send it out after. So don't worry about, whether or not you can remember all these tools or trying to write them down. And then Brenda, you had a couple too that you said were pretty good tools for the math content area as well, right?
Yes, specifically dealing with virtual manipulatives, the National Library of Virtual Manipulatives has a full gambit of tools that students can go in and engage in. They even have little mini lessons. You can sort by grade level, you can sort by topic, interactive things that the kids could do. It's a great resource for you. Another one is Desmos.com. It's a great thing for a great tool for Algebra 1, Geometry Pre-Cal. You could do graphing activities with it. It also has some pre-developed lessons that the students could work through, apps they can work through to discover some of the content, some of the concepts that you're trying to get through to them. And then for geometry, there's a GeoGebra app that they could do a very similar type thing with. They could manipulate figures to discover things like the mid-segment of a triangle, so forth like that. And so those are all great tools. And then my teachers really like IXL Math for practice. There's a free version and there's also a paid version. They use the free version, but kids always need help with some basic facts, and my teachers like to use that tool as well.
Those are great. Thank you so much, Brenda and Allie. Angela, those two questions came in from Crystal and Gerald on your team. They really wanted to know some good, solid math tools too. So I appreciate you guys sharing that. I see on the back channel, Raul says Kahoot is another great tool. Isn't that sort of like a quiz assessment type tool? So no matter what your content area, you can really build in some real-time assessments with that tool. So I've heard good things about that as well.
One thing about Kahoot is you can't adjust the timer. So if you have some kids that have difficulty and don't need to, they need more time, like you don't want to speed those kids up, it only lets you go 2 minutes or less. So I found that when working with my tier 3 kiddos, that wasn't the best resource for them, but for a lot of kids, it's a great resource.
Yeah, you kind of find the tool that works for that group of kids, right? Well, okay, so what about some ELAR resources, Angela? Do you, we had Lisa Walker from your team wanted to know what are some specific technology tools I could use for the ELAR classroom.
I know one that I use. It's specifically grammar, and they are just now venturing into some writing initiatives as well. But it's K through 12. It's called No Red Ink, and basically the kids go in, they set up an account under your class. You have to set up your class first, and they get a code and they go in and they choose their interest, and there's all kinds of pop culture in there, history, everything they can pick from, and it creates the sentences based on those. You choose the concepts. You can do quizzes or just practices, and the kids go through and they work through those lessons and taking those quizzes, and it really helps my high schoolers. It's so funny. I say, okay, we're going to do No Red Ink, and you hear the groans, but they appreciate at least the attempt at humor. The point of the sentences is that they try to make them funny to gain the students' interest, and so it works really well for grammar, and it goes K through 12, so they have concepts for every level. It is a paid one, so to get full access, you have to pay, but there are certain categories. All of the basics are available under the free version. So you don't have to buy the whole package by any means.
Cool.
And I know that there's another one very similar to the Leno board, Padlet.com, that will also kind of put up the sticky notes on a virtual bulletin board. And this could be used with any subject. This is not English specific by any means, but I use it to teach my kids thesis statements, to get them to put their own up. They can go and comment on each other's for brainstorming. If you're teaching, paragraph structure, you could do topic sentences, supporting details. There's all kinds of possibilities with that. And then they can commenting on each other's, enhancing with their own ideas and sharing their own perspectives. So it works really well, and it's pretty easy to adapt to.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing those. And I see, Heidi, you have you were on the same page as me. We had, she asked about suggestions for kiddos with intellectual disabilities. And we also had from Lisa Harris wanting to know, and she's from Knowledge Seekers, wanting to know, how can I use tools with my special ed kids? Or even, we have quite a few questions come in about how are younger kids, kindergartners, pre-K, how can they possibly use these tools? And so what are some tips that we could share with regard to those populations?
Absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I want to show you guys a resource. It's called Seesaw. Hang on just 1 second. So sorry. Okay, and I just created a class really really quickly, it says practice class kindergarten. And I just kind of wanted to show you guys what this looks like if you were to use that in a kindergarten classroom. I had my son post a picture. He put his animals in rainbow order. And I wanted to show you guys that your kiddos can comment on each other's work by using this little microphone. So if your kids can't type or write, or they're only 4 or 5 years old, they can still collaborate and interact on kind of a learning management system. This is also a really cool like portfolio that you can make for your kids at the elementary level. And then you have the ability to add their parents. So as I post something, their parents get a notification on their cell phone. And when they add content, they just click this little plus sign. And if they're on an iPad, they can take a picture, they can make a video, they can draw something. So it's just a really easy way to kind of blog and manage content at the elementary level. And
didn't you say, Allie, it is, so, you know, I always joke about, you know, educators' favorite F word is what? Free. Right. Right. So it's free, right?
Yes, it is 100% free.
That's awesome. You know, and I would you mind, I think you're still screen sharing. There we go. So, you know, the neat thing about that, I would categorize that as an LMS, a learning management system, which, you know, we learned about last week, because it is organizing content and interactions with a group of people. And that's all an LMS is an organizational tool. You know, it's not really, it's not really its value is the way that you organize content and tools within it. And so it's great to see a tool for, you know, the little kids that, you know, and folks that, you know, some of the more advanced tools, you know, it's just good to see options for those groups.
Absolutely. One more thing about that is any comment that the kids make, or even any content that they add to it, you have to approve on your teacher account. So it helps to weed through any inappropriate language or anything like that. It's just a really good thing to use at the elementary level.
Awesome. There's another hashtag I wanted to share with you guys on Twitter that I started following because of some of the questions that came in about the younger grades and applicability for younger grades. And it's called GAFE, G-A-F-E, Google Apps for Education. It's called GAFE for Littles. So hashtag GAFE for Littles. And I'll put this in the notes too. But there is a lady on there that she posts some phenomenal strategies and resources. So for example, she has a whole lesson that she teaches the very first day of kindergarten on getting students to learn how to log in. So, you know, recognizing their letters using colors on the keyboard. So she's got some really neat strategies for how it can be done. And her whole thing is it can be done. It just takes a little patience. But I'll share that hashtag and some of those video resources with you. So great, great dialogue there. So let's kind of jump into some of the other categories of questions that came in. We had a lot of interest, you know, I think because this course is so heavily invested or involved in Google tools, I use them. And, you know, I think my team leads can tell you on the behind the scenes part of this course would not run without Google. And so I had quite a few questions come in about how can I use tools to facilitate group interaction, you know, live virtual meetings with students, that sort of thing. So, you know, Allie has, I think, a tool that besides Google that she could talk about. But really quickly, Brenda and Angela, you know, what are some other tools, you know, Google or not, that you like to use for those sorts of things?
We use Google an awful lot in our district. We are a Google district, and I have come to appreciate the power of it just this year with all the things we're doing with migrating curriculum, but being able to communicate with teachers and do those collaborations with teachers through Google has been very powerful. So for me, the tool that I would always go with would be the Google tool. Zoom is another one that you can use for collaboration. It's more like a live session we're doing here, and it's limited. The free version is limited to about a 10-minute session. So if you're doing a shorter session, that's something that you could use as well for collaboration.
Yeah, Zoom is a great tool. I really enjoy using that.
Yeah, with Google, my district is also a Google district, and so they push a lot of that. And about 5 years ago, I applied and was accepted to be a part of the Google Chromebook pilot for the one-to-one that they wanted to eventually get to. And so I've had quite a bit of experience with it, and just Google Slides, Google Forms. I use those in my classroom constantly. Whatever assignment that I'm doing, if I can, put the kids in groups and they can open that same document or that same slide. And the revision history is excellent documentation too, by the way. But they can go in and they can all work on it at the same time. And so you get a different level of collaboration, which seems to really hit home better with many of them. And there's just so much that you can do with it. Google Slides, I can do a Frayer model template, or I can make them put together a presentation over a particular, section of history for a novel, or it really helps them to work together, and you really get that collaboration out of it. And then with the forms, I'd like to get them to use them to create their own little surveys and, questions about what they want to know more about, or what their peers and their classmates know. And so it really seems to draw in a little bit more interest.
Yeah, those are all excellent parts of the Google suite of tools that I enjoy. So Allie, do you mind telling us, your district uses a different set of tools, right?
Right. We use Microsoft Office, Office 365, and I've used Google throughout this master's program, so I kind of can compare, contrast the two. With Microsoft Office, there's this thing called OneNote, so you can kind of make like a class binder, and it's really awesome tool. There's something else called Class Notebook, where it has a collaborative space, but I found that if too many students are working within the same document, it gets overwhelmed and it kicks them out. So it's not as robust as Google. I don't feel like it's as user-friendly as Google, but since I'm not a Google district, I use what they gave me, and I think it's awesome. It really has made my life easier. Probably not as easy as Google would make it, but it's an awesome tool that I like to use.
Yeah, just the ability to quickly share, any types of virtual collaboration, whatever tool your district uses or you choose to use, both of those are great options. So thank you guys for that discussion. I want to check in really quick with the back channel. I almost laughed out loud at Jen. She asked, can you upload info to DMAC from Seesaw? Not yelling, keyboard issues. It's in all caps. And I know I've been there. I've had those kind of keyboard issues before. But do you, Allie, do you know the answer to that?
Can you ask it one more time? I think there was a glitch right in the middle, and I didn't catch it.
It says, can you upload info to DMAC, D-M-A-C?
I don't know what that is.
Okay, well, Jen, if you would yell that back to us, we'll see if we can figure that one out for you. And then I see some other really good comments in here. Heidi, TextGoo, I didn't get to go to TextGoo this year. I went last year when it was in Frisco, I believe, and it was amazing. But I see that you kind of said I'm overwhelmed by the possibilities, and I get that. The neat thing I think about this course is we're introducing you to a lot of Google tools, and you're kind of seeing how they all can relate to each other. And then maybe you could pick one or two that you really would find value in for you and your students. So I'm glad you got to go to TextGoo. It's a phenomenal summit. And then, yeah, so Jen also talked about we have an iChampion Summit here in July, and there's going to be Google certification training, Google level 1 and 2, I believe. So I'll send out information for that. Hopefully I could get this, maybe I could talk and see if I could get a discount for the class. I was able to do that last year and get everybody a discount for registration. So let me see if I can talk Bree or Julie into that, and I'll get back to you guys on how to sign up to attend the iChampion Summit. It's going to be here on Tarleton's campus, I believe, July 25th through 27th. So hopefully some of you guys could join us for that. So I see there's other questions coming in specific to, how can folks outside of K-12 leverage these tools? And I do want to address these types of questions. So for example, if I see there's a school counselor, if there's principals, we have university faculty in this class. We have community college staff and faculty. So this class is, it's very diverse. I'm so excited that this year we actually have someone from Beijing, China joining in. And we have a whole host of folks from Havasu in Arizona. Not sure exactly, how they found us, but I'm glad they did. They're going to bring so much richness to the conversation. But I want to talk really quickly to, how this can apply outside of K-12. And what I would say is that all of these tools can help you build teams. So if you're a leader in a school district or in a university setting or a community college setting, or even just in your job if you're a leader, these tools can help you organize things. It can help you build team, team community, communicate, be more efficient. So I hope that you will find value in the class and really try to apply it to your own context. So like when we're asking you to reflect on how you'll use these tools, don't feel like you have to do your reflection from the teacher standpoint if you're not a teacher. Really try and dig deep and think about how could I use these even in, with my kids at home, those types of uses. And the more you try to stretch yourself and see how could I use it in different contexts, the better you're going to learn the tool. And so I just wanted to be sure and kind of address, Dominic, I know you had that question, and Morgan, so I wanted to be sure and address those. So we also had Stacy, you and Emily from Rachel's Team Knowledge Seekers and Brenda's Team Ignite wanted to talk about security and access issues. And I promise we're going to get to that in week 5. We have a whole week dedicated to those sorts of issues. And then in week 4, we're going to talk about security and classroom management type issues. So we'll get there. 30 minutes is not a whole lot of time for these live broadcasts. I always find that we run just out of time very quickly. But so I want to just check in quickly. Yeah, so Dom has another really great example. So using these tools to help your student organizations that you advise, all sorts of, anytime you need to lead something, coordinate something, communicate something, these tools are going to come in handy. So hopefully you'll find some good uses. I read an excellent reflection this past week from a principal who talked about how excited she was to use a learning management system to organize resources for her teachers, and then really do some outreach with parents. And so I thought, yes, okay, she gets it. This is so much more applicable than just in the classroom. So that's exactly what I love to see. So the last thing, that kind of category that I saw, theme that I saw in the questions was video creation. There's a lot of interest around what tool I use to make video resources for this course. And so the tool that I use is called Adobe Presenter. And the reason that I like it is because it lets me create a screen capture, where you hear my voice and see what I'm doing on the screen. But I can also do straight on video if I want to. And then it has some pre-canned little intros that I can add on the beginning and end. So Adobe Presenter is the tool that I use. But team leads, are there other screencast tools that you like, that you use?
Yes. In my role as a campus math specialist, I constantly have to explain to teachers how to pull reports in like a universal screener. So if we're giving a math assessment to all of first grade, how do I pull these different reports? And typing out those instructions gets kind of complicated. So I like to use Jing. It's a really great resource that only allows me to make a 5-minute video, but I can very quickly and easily show the teachers exactly what to click on, how to pull a report, how to print it, and send the link to them in an email. So it's so much easier for me to just literally explain it than try to figure out how to type directions to explain it. Changed my life.
Yep, I agree. It does change your life. Any other tools?
One of the tools that I use in my role in making content videos that we put into Canvas for teachers who may need help with how do I teach a concept, I use Screencast-O-Matic, and I also use Camtasia, but Screencast-O-Matic has a free version, and you can make up to a 15-minute video. It doesn't have the nice little lead-ins like Dr. Baker's Adobe Presenter does, but you can make a free video, 15 minutes, upload it to YouTube real fast, and put that into your LMS. Camtasia is something that the district purchased, and you can do something very similar where you can make videos. But with that one, I can make a little longer video because it's not the free version. You can edit it. If you decide you said something incorrect, you can go back and rewind and then re-record over it. So those are two that I use in my role in making videos that I share with teachers.
Yeah, that's a great tool. So Jen and Tracy want to know, of course, is Adobe Presenter free? The tools you guys mentioned, I believe, Camtasia may have a small cost. Jing is free, correct, for 5-minute clips?
Yeah.
Which I love because that forces you to get it done in 5 minutes, which is probably a good thing, right? You want to chunk your videos.
No one wants to listen to anything longer than 5 minutes, right?
I know. I tell myself that every time I do our orientation videos for this, I cannot get it done in less than 5 minutes. I just can't. But yeah, I think Adobe Presenter is not free, unfortunately. It has now they have a monthly subscription option, which the last time I checked, I want to say was like $20 a month kind of thing. So if you wanted to kind of chunk out your summer to do all of your videos, you could do that maybe for $40. I'll check on I'll check on the cost and post that in the notes. Yeah, those are some great tools. I wanted to, so our student on Brenda's team, and it's Rongsheng from Beijing, China. So it is 8:30 a.m. in Beijing, China. And he had a good question about videos. So how do you ensure students have actually watched through all of your videos? And this is a great question. And a tool that comes to my mind is called Play Pause It. This is a tool that lets you embed questions within your video. So I don't know if any of you ever used to take the old driver's ed courses. I'm not driver's ed. What is it when you get a ticket? Sorry, I'm losing the word here.
Defensive driving.
Yeah, defensive driving. Thank you. Where the video would kind of play through and then it would stop and it would say, okay, please call in and say that there's a pink bunny or some kind of weird code at some point. So that's the concept here. And our friend over in China is probably like, what are they talking about? But that's the idea, is that the video plays to a certain point, stops, and makes an assessment. So what, about the previous, whatever, a minute or so. And then once they answer the question correctly, it continues on. And then it gives you a score at the end. So you do get to see that they've watched it all the way through, and you kind of get to assess along the way that they're getting it. So Play Pause It is a really neat tool I've used in my online classes. I didn't use it in this class, actually. But the other thing we mentioned before is, chunking your videos. So again, trying to keep them in short, manageable chunks for your learners helps ensure that they'll watch them all the way through. Do you guys have any other tips for that?
There's another tool that I've used a little bit this year. It's called Edpuzzle. It's EDPUZZLE. And you can create classes and enroll your kids, and you can do your own videos, or you can pull videos from their library or places like YouTube, Khan Academy, and all kinds of different places. You can embed the questions, and you can also add your own voiceover and certain parts if you want, but it also monitors, it allows you to monitor whether or not they've watched it.
Wow, that's cool. Well, and Stephanie just weighed in on the back channel with a very low-tech way. So she teaches virtually, and she said all of her lessons are recorded, and she does just like the defensive driving. She embeds a keyword, code word somewhere in the video, which is a pretty brilliant idea. I love that. And sorry, I see that we missed, so someone from Arizona said they're late because this wasn't on Arizona time. I should have taken that into consideration. I apologize. So yes, all of the broadcasts are Central Standard Time. And I'll make sure that I put that in the notes from here on out. Sorry, you'll be able to watch this all back on the playback. I'm going to put it in an archived folder for you. But we're coming up on the end of our time, and I just want to say thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of this course. We're so excited to have you. join us, and we will do this every Tuesday from here till the end of the class, and join in as you can. We love to have you on live because then we can kind of interact with you on the back channel, but if not, you're always welcome to watch the playback. So with that, we're going to sign off, and we'll see you guys in week 3. Take care.